Hi there, and welcome to the Gazette's weekly Hockey Inside Out show. I'm Stu Cowan of the Gazette, and I'm joined by my regular partners here, former Canadiens teammates and 1986 Stanley Cup champs, Chris Nilan and Rick Green. Well, guys, the Canadiens were able to split the first two games of their playoff series in Tampa against the Lightning, with both games going to overtime. But they probably should have come back home up 2-0 after blowing a 2-1 lead late in the third period of Game 2 before losing 3-2. Knuckles, how big of a blow will that loss be moving forward, with the Lightning now appearing to have the momentum? You know, you want to go in and steal one, but I mean, the Canadiens had a great chance to steal two.
Yeah, but I don't look at it as a big blow. And if they treat it like a big blow, they're in trouble, okay? I think before the series, if you said we go down there and we get a split, we'll be happy. You know, so listen, they win that first game. They gave themselves a chance to win the second. There's no question. Gobez gave him a chance to win the second game. You know, there were some mistakes, obviously, that cost them. It seemed like they were a little fatigued by the third period, and certainly the overtime period. They were back on their heels. Yeah, they were back on their heels, and you know, they hadn't been playing like that all game. And I will add, and I think I've said this before, that not being an overly big team, a series like this can wear on you physically. And I think they kind of were fatigued there, the third period and into overtime, and it showed.
Rick, I mean, the up 2-1, Slafkovsky, a really bad giveaway late in the third period, throwing the puck up the middle of the ice in his own zone, resulted in the tying goal. And then Kirby Dach with just, I mean, a really bad, really lazy icing in overtime that resulted in the winning goal. Those two mistakes, they're inexcusable in the playoffs, right?
Well, let's face it, it's a game of mistakes. And, you know, when you start to do things like that and it comes back and bites you like it did, it really hurts. But look, they've shown pretty well. Mind you, the first two periods were so-so. They didn't have that killer instinct. They had Tampa right where they wanted them. They had the power play at the end with Savarin's stupid penalty that he took. They could have finished them off there. But I think the real problem is Tampa is very effective on doing a lot of this scrum stuff, and we saw it where they were involved in face washing and jumping on guys and really trying to intimidate, you know, the Canadian guys. And it was effective to a certain point, but it took away from the flow of their lines. All the lines were broken up with guys in the penalty box, and this went on and on for an extended period of time. I don't think it was in the best interest of the Canadiens to get their game going for three periods. And I think they have to really be careful that they try to avoid that. It's not easy when you got guys punching you in the face and you know, in the back of the head, to stay focused. But I think they're going to have to try and eliminate some of that stuff to put that behind them, concentrate on their game plan, and stay focused for the three periods. As
far as Kirby goes, you know, listen, the kid's been through hell here with the injury since the start of his career. I think certainly Martin St. Louis has afforded him every opportunity to come back and get in the swing of things. You know, they need more from him. Yeah, he made that mistake, no question. Should have. I don't see him skating that well. And when he gets in on the puck, here's a big body who has to control the puck when he gets it in the corner. He has to hang on to it. He goes in and he might make a hit, never comes up with the puck where he's hanging on to it, like a Josh Anderson in the corner. He's got to do those things in order for this team to have some in-zone time, especially when he's on the ice. You know, he ends up back-checking all the time. An extra stride or two, he's in the zone, he flips it in there. He bumps it to his winger who tips it by the D-man, and it's no icing. Lazy mistake. And then getting out to the point. You got to battle
Yeah.
by. I think he was a little worried because he got a little interference. He kind of like saw him.
Yeah, look at the ref for a penalty.
Like,
Yeah.
come on. Yeah, that's, they need more from him. And until they get it, they're going to struggle in certain areas. And that's one of them is in zone time when he's on the ice.
Rick, do you think they even keep Dach in the lineup? I mean, I can't see Marty putting him back in for Game 3. I think you need to make a change and either get Veleno in there or Gallagher or get both of those guys in there for Game 3.
I would think they're going to seriously consider making some changes. I mean, I don't see enough coming of their bottom six in desperation play. I don't see enough guys willing to crash and bang and receive and give a hit. That we talked about the physical play that was going to come into this series. And I mean, Cole Caulfield, he's never been hit so often as what he has the last two games. And he feels that. I think even Demidov, he's getting a taste of, look out, I'm going to get hit, be ready. And, they're not maybe responding exactly the way that you would hope to. So there's a lot of questions that need to be answered here. But one thing remains the same, is they need more guys to get involved with more desperation and more commitment, like a Josh Anderson, what he's bringing as a catalyst to make a statement. And what a player right now. I got to give this guy full marks, obviously, for what he's bringing to the team and trying to get the team going and do what he does best. So more guys need that type of play. More guys need to follow what he's trying to do. And if they don't get that, they're going to have a tough time, because Tampa's going to come at them again, no matter what we think. Even though they're at home, they're going to be in your face and making it difficult on them physically.
Yeah, Matthew Tkachuk on his podcast this week said that Josh Anderson is one of the best playoff performers in the NHL. Knuckles, I'd be looking to make lineup changes. I think maybe put Kapanen back with Demidov and Newhook, and maybe have Veleno with Gallagher and Bolduc, dropping Dach and Texier to try and give a little bit of a spark. What would you do if you were coaching right now?
Yeah, I got to seriously look at Texier and Dach. Texier, yeah, he's good with the puck and stuff like that, but in traffic, you're talking about guys playing like Josh Anderson. Okay, who's going to play like that? Who's going to play like that? I think I think they've been, when you talk about desperation, I think they've really worked hard in their own end, and they've cleaned up some things. They've gotten great goaltending. There's still some good quality chances that Dobesh's had to stand on his head and give him that opportunity to win. They've been better in their own end. As far as overall, when they have the puck and they're controlling the puck, that's the best recipe. And they had it for 2 periods. They didn't have it for all 60 minutes. But again, I think there was a fatigue factor there, getting constantly pounded. And when you have big bodies, and I've said it before, I remember Yoel Armia's here, and I'm not saying he's the answer, but a player like him who can hang on to the puck in the offensive zone, do those kind of things, stick your ass out, protect the puck, and get that good in-zone time. Josh Anderson, man, he has been incredible. Really has stepped up for the Canadiens in an area that they really need it, especially against this team.
Well, I think Canadiens were hoping Kirby Dach would have a little bit of Josh Anderson in him in the playoffs. Same type of body, but we haven't seen it. Rick, I know with Brendan Gallagher, the games are getting quicker for him and faster. One thing with Veleno, I like, he finishes every check. He has a chance to finish. Do you think putting Gallagher back in the lineup now? I mean, he's going to be hungry. We saw what he did the last game of the regular season against Philadelphia. He's one of the Habs' best players. Do you think putting him in might give this team a spark, especially back on home ice?
I would like to see it. I mean, you know what you're going to get from him. He's going to make and cause all kinds of havoc, that they're missing a little bit in the offensive zone in front of the net. Even if he plays, limited minutes, what he's going to bring some character and desperation to the team. He's going to create some problems for Vasilevsky. He's going to, what he's going to do. He's going to make things difficult. He's going to give everything he has. And that's an indication of what they need to do, and hopefully some guys would follow that as a catalyst that could set the example of the type of game they need to play in order for them to win.
I was watching last night. Knuckles, Juraj Slafkovsky decides to drop the gloves with Brandon Hagel, who was an inch shorter and 40 pounds lighter, and Hagel drops him. And I'm wondering, Slafkovsky's not very good at fighting. I tweeted last night, maybe you should reach out to you and get some tips, especially how to protect himself. But should he even be thinking about dropping the gloves? I mean, he got rocked. Like, I'm wondering, like, if that the impact of that punch, he was feeling that later on in the game.
He's fine. He's fine. He took a punch. He got right up. It's easy.
Should he even be fighting?
Yeah, listen, it's easy for everybody to say, "Oh, should Juraj fight?" God, he had 3 goals last game. Yeah, you have to do what you have to do to help the team win. In a situation like that, you're trading off with a guy who he's not with Sabarin. He's with a guy that, get him off the ice for a little bit, both of them. And both teams, they got fed up with each other. The two of them, they talked it out. They had to fight. He threw some punches. Again, for a guy who isn't used to fighting and know how to protect yourself, you always and when you don't know, do you know he's a righty? Do you know he's a lefty? Okay, so you figure out right away. You start throwing your right, your strength. I wouldn't let go unless I felt confident with my left and I can hit that. And he hasn't fought enough to know that. So listen, I give him full mark for standing up. He took a punch. Oh well. Move on, get back into it, and play the game. I just this team moving forward. I think the biggest factor for them moving forward is going to be their 5-on-5 play. Bottom line, if they can't win, if they can't score 5-on-5, they're in trouble. They're in trouble.
Rick, I know you and Knuckles are both members of the Arber Xhekaj fan club. I thought Arber played very well the first 2 games. Last night, too, I thought he played really well with Struble as his partner. I thought his last shift in the 3rd period was really good. And then he doesn't see the ice at all in overtime. Were you surprised by that, Rick?
Yeah, I'm surprised and disappointed because this really weighs on you as a player that obviously they don't have confidence in putting him out in key situations, especially in overtime where you need stability and you need somebody to perform and not make too many mistakes. And it's not as easy for him to accept that. But you talked about some of the guys getting involved in fights. I mean, I hate to see some of the key guys in a fight and getting himself hurt, like Slav. If he hurt himself, he fell wrong. Anderson was really smart in his decision. Like Sabran, I don't need to fight a guy like that. Why do I risk being, having a chance to hurt myself for nothing? So overall, I think the guys have handled themselves pretty well. Xhekaj, a name that pops out, he played, I think it was 10 minutes or so. And I like the guy, and we said about how much he brings to the team, and it's just it's going to be interesting to see, moving forward here when Dobson comes back, what they're going to do with the numbers game back there, and who's going to come in, who's going to go out. So I wish Xhekaj would get more of a chance. And
hey, listen, I'm happy with what him getting the opportunity he has. Yeah, they pulled the rug on him at the end there, but for a guy who's been in and out and, unsure all year, am I going to play? Am I going to be up in the stands? Am I going to Laval again? To be put in this situation, he has done unbelievable. I don't care what anybody says. You can say, he's made good decisions with the puck. He's been physical, force. He hasn't taken any stupid penalties. I saw him go by the bench the other night and whack somebody in the head, though, which I liked. But
you would have never done that, right, Knuckles?
He didn't get caught. Thank God.
You never did.
He would have really been in the shit then. But, God bless him. That's not an easy situation to be tossed into. And he's done an awesome job being put in that situation.
Well, Rick, one guy who's really stood out, Josh Anderson, obviously through the first couple of games. Who else has really stood out to you? I know I've really liked Mike Matheson. I thought he's been outstanding the first couple of games, especially with Dobson under the line. I mean, Carrier also. Which guys have stood out to you, Rick?
I got to come back to the goaltending, Dobish. If you look at some of the saves that he made, timely saves and huge saves that allowed the team to weather the storm, so to speak. I mean, he really came up with a real good save at the right time. And obviously, Slav, aside from the little miscue that he had, just he's on fire. He got a lot of things going for him. So between Dobish, Slav, and Anderson, look at these guys are making it happen. Hopefully, it will continue.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Dobesh, Anderson for sure. Because they sorely, need that kind of play. It's so bad, and he's out there every night throwing his weight around, skating, going in net, all those good things. And certainly, yeah, Slav made a bad play at the end there, but 5-on-5, you need those guys, and that's where it's going to be won and lost. I know special teams are important, but man, 5-on-5, they're going to have to score if they want to win this series.
Yeah, Slafkovsky could see his face on the bench after he knew he made a bonehead play there, and I'm sure it's eating at him also. But I know Knuckles is saying 5-on-5 a key moving forward. Rick, what are some of the keys you think for the Canadiens to win this series moving forward?
I would just, I'm hoping that they can avoid all these scrums and stuff. I mean, it's just it constantly takes away from any kind of momentum or cohesion that you've got with your combinations. And, you're killing penalties. Your guys are sitting on the bench. Then they're coming out cold a little bit. It really affects the overall play of your group when you start to get into a situation where you're drawing a lot of needless penalties and changing up the momentum and the combination. So I'd like to see more concentration on, as best you can, to avoid those scrums and some of those penalties that you don't need to take that are not allowing your team to play the right way.
I disagree.
Sorry, go ahead, Knuckles.
Well, I just think it's almost unavoidable. They've turned it into this, and okay, you're on the ice and someone mushes you in the face. Okay, turn away and run to the bench. You got at some point you got to stand up for yourself. And I know it's happening quite a bit, but what do? You keep tucking tail and running, and I think that's what Tampa's hoping they do. And I think they battled hard and they played it pretty smart so far as that goes, I believe.
Rick, I mean, with Slafkovsky, they've done a really fantastic job of developing him. I mean, that mistake he made, that was something we saw him do maybe his first couple of years. We haven't seen him done much since, but as Knuckles said, it's a game of mistakes. Marty St. Louis says that all the time. That was a big one. But can you were a number 1 overall pick also, Rick, 1976 by the Capitals. Can you imagine what it would have been like, the pressure being a number 1 pick in Montreal like Slafkovsky?
Yeah, huge. This type of situation brings a lot of obviously pressure to be selected by the NHL as number 1. But I really think that they handled him really well. I think that they brought him along in a way. And I know we talked about maybe he should go down to Laval, maybe he should sit, maybe he should do this, maybe he should do that. But I think overall, I think the process that they used to develop him has been outstanding, as we see now. And he's responded in such a great way at such a young age, and nothing but great things to see moving forward with a guy like that is really getting the job done and really turned around. Even this year, since the Olympics, he's been on fire and just a joy to watch. And I think we're going to see more and more great things coming from this guy in the future.
I know last week both of you guys picked the Habs to win the series. So did Brian Skrudlin, who was with us last week. I was the only one. I picked Tampa in 6 last night. Habs up 2-1. I was like, boy, that's not looking good. They mentioned on the broadcast 86% of teams that win the first 2 games of the series go on to win. You guys both sticking with your predictions of Habs after what we saw last night?
Yeah, I'm not changing. I'm going to go skydiving. I'm going to jump out and then say, I want to go back. No, you can't. You jumped out of the plane already. I jumped out. We're sticking with it.
I'm going with the same. I mean, the Habs are coming home. They're just these guys that haven't seen what this city's all about. Uh, get ready because their fans are ready. They're going to be helping them along every way or every possible way they can. And yeah, let's hope that they can find a way to get their 5-on-5 game going, and keep Tampa, you know, away from what they're trying to do and in intimidating them.
Knuckles, it's going to be crazy at the Bell Center Friday night. It's incredible. Playoffs in Montreal. If you were in that locker room to give a speech before Game 3, what would you be saying to these guys?
We got to play to our strengths, stand up to the aggression, go to the net, hang on to the puck, make good decisions with the puck. You're going to be under pressure a lot of times in the game. We got to withstand that pressure and play under that pressure. Pressure from the other team. They're going to be on you. They're an experienced team. They're a physical team. They're playing different this year than they've ever played before in the playoffs. They haven't played like this before, really. This is a totally different look from this team. Last year, too. And I think that was kind of a response to the Panthers, right? And now they're looking at it to be a way to make them, have success in the playoffs. And you have to play that way in the playoffs. You got to get dirty. You got to get in there. You got to get nasty. I don't blame them for playing that way. They want to win. They want to beat the Canadiens, and they know the Canadiens. They're a quick team, a fast team, a possession team. As far as scoring off the rush and stuff like that, and power play, relying on those things. But they feel if they can pound them, they can wear them down. And you can say what you think, but last night it seemed like they're a little worn down by the end of the third period and into overtime.
Yeah, I thought last season against the Capitals in the playoffs, they lacked confidence. I thought they looked very confident first 5 periods against Tampa until the mistakes. Rick, you've been in that locker room as a player and as an assistant coach. What would your message be to these guys going into Game 3?
Let's just remember what our strengths are as a group. And they were good all year with their transition game, with their speed, with their puck possession, and try and increase the amount of time that they have possession of the puck and do what they do best, offensively with their cycling and their ability to cause problems off the forecheck. And I think that they did that really well for most of their regular season. I think that they're going to have to bring that up a little bit of let's get going. Let's have puck possession. Let's have that transition game going. And let's play with the puck more.
Well, that's it for this week's Hockey Inside Out show. I hope you all enjoyed it out there. We'll have 3 bonus episodes coming up over the next few days, so you can look for those. The Canadiens Lightning series, as we mentioned, now back in Montreal with Game 3 Friday night and Game 4 Sunday night at the Bell Center. Game 5 will be back in Tampa next Wednesday, so we'll be back with our show next week on Thursday following Game 5. In case you didn't know, Hockey Inside Out is also available now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe. Please subscribe to the Hockey Inside Out YouTube channel.